Unlike the expansive United States, the island nation of Japan faced geographical limits on the space available for its growing population. About 80 million people lived in Japan in the 1920s, in an area comparable to the size of the state of Montana, which had a population of less than 1 million, the most crowded nation on Earth. Japan had to seek land beyond her borders in order to grow. When expansionists studied the nearby areas, most eyes turned west toward the Asian mainland and China. Japan already had to import much of its raw materials and food products. Its people could cultivate only a certain percentage of the national need, and to fill the rest, the nation's leaders had to look elsewhere. Japan imported nearly 70% of its zinc and tin, 90% of its lead and all of its cotton, wool, aluminum, and rubber. When they sought raw materials from Asia, Japanese leaders clashed with European interests. Japan needed rubber, tin, and bauxite from Burma and Malaya, but those nations were controlled by Great Britain. Indochina's vast rubber plantations contained valuable material, but France held sway in that country. The most eagerly sought product, oil, existed in bountiful amounts in the East Indies, but the Dutch maintained a stranglehold on the region. Everywhere Japan turned, a European nation appeared to block the path to its future. Yearning for dominance in the Pacific, the Japanese felt that they, not Great Britain or any other European country, deserved preeminence in the area. Japan had already built a potent military and asserted its interests in the region, even fighting a war with China over supremacy in Korea in 1894, even though its well-trained soldiers easily defeated the Chinese. Japan's interest in gaining more living space on the mainland was thwarted by Russia, which brokered a peace agreement that gave Japan the tiny island of Formosa off China's coast. 10 years later, Japan exacted revenge on Russia. The Tsarist-led country tried to expand its influence into Manchuria, a region north of Korea, by building a railroad through the country. Japan countered this threat to its interests in Korea and Manchuria by unleashing a surprise naval attack on the Russian Far East Squadron as it lay at anchor in Port Arthur, Manchuria, on February 8, 1904. Japanese troops then landed and swept north to seize the city of Mukden. The rest of the world took notice in May of that year when the Japanese Navy soundly defeated the Russian Baltic Fleet at the Battle of Tsushima. For the first time, an Asian nation had bested a European power, and both great. Britain and the United States realized that Japan could pose a threat to their own interests. The successes reinforced the idea that Japan's destiny lay in the Pacific and on the Asian mainland.